Hello guys, my name is Michael. Today we are going to talk about new functions which we can apply them to our grid. I made some clean here so that we understand our program better. So basically, as you already know, we have a window, we have a grid, it's for childs, child 1, child 2, 3 and 4, and then we are using grid attached to add them to our grid. So basically our program looks now like this. Okay, it looks like this because I decide to be 1, 2, 3 and 4 here in the way as you can already see it. So this is basically when you decide where you put your child. So I put 0 left 1 top, 0 left 2 top, 0 left 3 top and 0 left 4 top. Okay, so that being said, let us see. So today we are going to talk about these 4 functions which are very important also, and they are important only, let's say, if you know when you need them and if you know how to work with them. If not, maybe you won't need them. Me, for example, let's say almost 95% I always didn't need them. So that being said, let's go to GTK-Grid widget. It's here, and here we have our 4 functions. Let's see the first one, GTK-Grid insert row, and says inserts a row at a specified position. So children which are attached at or below this position are moved 1 row down. Children which span across this position are grown to span to new row. Okay, let's see. Okay, so this function returns void and takes to parameter our grid and the position. Okay, so let's call it after we created our first child and after we attached the first child. So that being said, the first one is our grid and the second one is the position. Let's see, position 0. What do you think it happens now? Okay, we need a semicolon, not a double colon. As you can see, we just lost one of our child. Let's change it to column. I'll run the program now and see what happens. As you can see, our column was moved 1 to the right, and then here we have inserted a new column. There is a tricky part which you really need to understand. Let me show you something. Let me comment this part here. What would you think it happens now? So basically we have created a child and then we are attaching it to the 0 position left and 1 top, and then we were creating the second child, we were adding it to our grid, and then we said it has to be at the position 0 top 2. So what would you think it happens now when you are calling this function very after you attached your second child at the position 0? What would you think it's happening now? Okay, let's see. Maybe it's not what you are thinking. Bam! You see, I tried to move this one from this position here, but they are both moved here. You see, so you need to take care and you need to be careful when you work with this function like insert column or insert row. So probably now you already know what happens if I call it very after the third child. Yes, it moves all those three. And now what would you think it happens if I call after the first one, after the third one? So let's see. Yes, as you can see, we said that we need to move our column one position. So by inserting here a column, we are moving our column here. But once that we inserted here also a column, we didn't move just this one to the right, we are moving also this one to the right, and of course we were moving also this one to the right. So that being said, if now you call this one too, I think you already know what happens. Yes, you see, they are pushing all of them one to the right, this one push 1, 2, and this one push 1, 2, and 3 to the right. Okay, now let us do some changes to our program just to understand it better. So let us create let's create a level GTK widget level. Okay, GTK level new a string. No, we are not passing any string, we are doing something else, because we are going to use some properties here. You know, properties, we are talking about those properties. Now it's a good place to work again with them. So let us give a text name. Let us create something here. Let's say 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, so that being said, we are going to make some changes here. Let's change it so that we can better understand it. So this time we are going to say const g char const let's say label text, for example. It's not that important. Now I will copy this part here because we need to make those changes also here. Now we are going to set some properties to our label. So you remember where how did we set those properties? Yes, g object set was that. Okay, so this means the first object, is a g pointer object, so this means it's our label. The second one will be let's move to another. Let's give a name. So let's say label, and then let's give it a name, and the name will be label text. And of course, always after you work with this property, with this function g object set, make sure after you use your object, after you use your property, the last thing always has to be null. So let's see what happens now. Of course it happens nothing because I think we have a mistake. Yeah, 1 is here, I forgot a comma, and the other one is here, and also we forgot to add our container to our child. GTK container, and this is our child label. And yes, okay, those numbers are not so very big there. Let's make some change. For example, let's give a name for this label. So the next property will be name. This is the same like we are telling GTK widget set name, but we are setting now a name for this label, so it will be called my label, so that we can work with this property. And then here, of course, we were going to call it my label, and let's create the font size of, I don't know, let's say 25 pixels for examples, and let's decorate let's make the text decoration line to be underline. Okay, I will save the file now. So basically now we are setting the label to font size of 25 pixels, and we'll say that text decorating line should be underlined. What this means you'll see in a moment. Now I run the program again, and as you can see the text is much bigger, and let me put it in the middle. There are a lot of functions, we already talked about them, but I want to show you something which is very important. GTK widget. GTK widget properties. So basically you can use properties from this widget, because GTK label is also widget. So let's go to properties, and let's say let's take margin. Yes, this is a good property. So this means we are going to set now the text somewhere in the middle, or at least somewhere in the middle. Let's say 40 pixels. I know how it looks like, we'll see in a moment. Yes, you see, now is the text in the middle. So now you understand better. 1, 2, 3, 4. You see our childs, how they moved, so that you understand that they are not messing somehow, they are just pushed. This is the way, this is the thing which I wanted to achieve. Well, I'm showing you this. Of course, there are a lot of other properties which you can use, as you can see here. For example, I don't know, let's say let's use a tooltip. This is a good thing, why not? Okay, so this means now we are setting a tooltip to our, and we will set let's set it to label text. So we are not going to change or we're not going to set something. And what this means you'll see in a moment. I think you already know what tooltips are. So now you see, when I go with the mouse, when I hover over those numbers, those tooltips are there. So basically these are those tooltips, and this is the way you work with columns. This is the way you are working. For example, let's change this to 1, 2, 3, and 4. 0, because we are pushing them from top. Okay, so I will comment out now the columns, because I want to show you something else, which basically you need to know. Before we call the second function, the next function, let me see the program. You see 1, 2, 3, 4. You see how they are looking, and now happens the same thing. If you call GTK instead row this time, because we are calling the column, let's see what happens. it should happen what you already saw in the first example with the column. You see it's pushed down 1, so this means we said put at a position 0 that row, and now we said put another row at the position 0. So by doing this we are moving our two. You see, we put another position here, so now we have pushed them both here, and of course if we call it again, then we said again push them down here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now what would you think it happens if you call both on all those childs? GTK-grid insert column and GTK-grid insert row. What do you think it happens now? What do you think it happens now? You're not sure? Okay, watch how the things are swapping. You see, 4, 3, 2, 1. You notice? Before we started to set here or to insert here our rows and columns, we had 1, 2, 3, 4, and now because we are inserting rows and columns to the 0 position in both on the after we create every child, the first, the second and the third one, basically we just swapped these 4 childs which they are here. So this is basically how you are working with GTK-grid insert column. I'm strongly suggest you to play with these examples so that you understand them, and after you're sure that you understand them, then take views of them. If not, until then just play with GTK-grid attach and GTK-grid attach next to. So as you can see again, here we are swapping those childs from 1, 2, 3, 4 to 4, 3, 2, 1. So let me show you so that you understand better. Well, I will comment out calls of those functions, insert column and insert row. You see now, because I don't call them, they are looking like 1, 2, 3, 4, and we had them like 4, 3, 2, 1 here. Okay, so that being said, this is the way how you are working with these 2 functions. Now let us make some small changes to our program so that we can move to 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0, 1 and 1. Okay, so I just made some change back to so that we can move to the next 2 functions. So here we have our 1, 2, 3, 4. You see the way you create them is the way they are printed. Here's 1, here's 2, here's 3, here's 4. I print them different so that you see something. So watch. Now let's see the next function, GTK-grid remove row. I will go back here, and GTK-grid remove row says it is a function which takes 2 parameters. The first one is the grid, the second is the position, and returns void. So removes the row from the grid. Children that are placed in this row are removed. Spanning children that overlap this row have their height reduced by 1, and children below the row are moved up. Okay, so what means this? Let's see. Let's call this function. Let's call it here. So basically we are going to copy this part here, and then again I will comment out first. I run the program again, and you see now we have 1, 3, 2, 4. Okay, now I run the program. Sorry, I forgot to remove the comment. So now I run the program again. As you can see, we have 1, 3, 2 and 4. Because we said to remove the row 0 at the position 0, we just lost the first two children. We just removed them, and at this moment we have only 2 left. The same thing happens if you call the remove column. I will comment it again for a second. I run the program again. So now you see we have 1, 3, 2, 4, and if we are calling the GtkGrid remove column, we have only 3 and 4, because 1 and 2 we said it has to be removed. So column 0 was here, column 1 was here, so was 1, 3, 2, 4. Okay, so that being said, this is the way how you are working with these functions, which are GTK-grid insert column, GTK-grid insert row, and of course those functions which are called GTK-grid remove row and GTK-grid remove column. I don't know, these functions are not very easy to work with them if you don't understand them, because they are quite complicated. But once that you make more and more testing with these functions, like I don't know, inserting rows and columns and removing rows and columns and playing again and again and again, at some point you will understand. That's the reason why I choose to show you this. You can also, I don't know, let's say if you need colors, for example, let's say let's change something to orange, green, so that you can see them better, brown, and I know blue, because we were working with those colors. So this means the first color should be orange, the second color should be green, the third color should be brown, and of course the last color should be blue. Save it. I'm changing the name because you already know. When I create this function, create child, I said that the first parameter of this function, which is here, it is the name. This is the name which we are setting it with the GTK. We just set name. So basically, when we call here with those colors, we are changing to this color, which we then set them here on our CSS file. So now I run the program, and you will see those colors better, and you will understand them better. You see? So basically now when you play with your functions here, I don't know, when you call something like GTK grid insert column or something, you just see where and what's happening. You see it's missing now because we are pushing one way up, and then we are moving now from the position 0 our child, and it's not there. So you see not just numbers, you see also the colors if you want to. The same thing happens if you work with those rows. As you can see here, you see 1, 3, 4. So it is quite crazy now, because now we have 2 columns and 2 rows. So you see how things are changing now, and you see now how the things are quite different now. So like I said, just be careful and try. You see 1, 2, 3 now, the 4 is missing. So you better work with these 2 functions so that you can understand them, so that you can work with them later in your applications. Okay, so that being said, I think that's all for today. Thank you guys for watching. If you like it, leave a comment with some questions if you have or something like that, and please subscribe, share with your friends and neighbors, and until next time, see you guys.